Hi, it's Marissa, MKissa Creations here on YouTube or Flosstube, our little cozy corner of the internet where we like to share our cross stitch. And this is Flosstube number 64. Today is Wednesday, March 18th, and I am here with another Flosstube video for you. I got a lot of stitching done this week. I did not think I was going to get that much stitching done, but everything that I stitched was in Pattern Keeper, and so I actually have a stitch count, and it was higher than I thought it was going to be. I've already filmed this video once. I accidentally reformatted my memory card while it was in my camera still. It was devastating. I thought I had a great video for you, so hopefully I can repeat that process and give you exactly what I gave you the last time that you didn't get to see it. All right, so thank you for joining me. Welcome if you are here for the first time. I appreciate you being here, and welcome back if you are a returning visitor. I appreciate that so much. I hit the 2,000 subscriber mark. It's a little wishy-washy with YouTube with unsubscribes and resubscribes, so we are going to wait until next week to officially celebrate that, if I can stay above for another week. And we will do a 2,000 subscriber giveaway then. But I did finish 2 weeks ago Consider the Lilies, and I offered up a giveaway or a pass the stash on my chart. And before filming the first time, I chose a name with the random comment picker from YouTube, or the YouTube random comment picker, and our winner is right here. Congratulations, Megan Firster. You are going to be getting my hand-me-down Consider the Lilies chart. So I hope you've got your eye on some delicious fabric and flosses and are getting ready to add that one to your stash. If that is you, please contact me on Instagram if you have Instagram. If you don't, please let me know here in the comments that you don't have Instagram, and then email me at mkissacreations@gmail.com, and we can communicate that way, and I can get your address and get the pattern sent off to you so you can get going. It took me 6 years to finish it, so I hope that it doesn't take you as long, but you know what? If it does, it was a beautiful journey and I loved every minute of it, even though it took me a lot of years of picking it up and putting it back down. But it was truly a meditation piece for me, and it really felt good to finish it, but it also felt really good to stitch it. So either way, it's a good one. This is Consider the Lilies. It is by Heartstring Samplery. If you do not know, she came out with a new giant chart in this series this year at market, and there is also a chart called His Eye is on the Sparrow that is also in this series and is beautiful as well. I have not chosen any market orders yet this year because I am deep in my collector's SAL that I started for my birthday, and am really trying to focus on those and focus on finishing some of the other big giant whips that are in my stash. So what did I do? I started another big giant whip in my stash. It is for the collector's SAL though, so I feel like that's okay. I will show you that in a second. I just want to thank everybody for the well wishes for my girls from last week. They each went to school one day last week. One went to school on Monday and one went to school on Friday. They are better now. We are all good. Thankfully, we had a single symptom illness and it was just high fevers. We didn't have to deal with anything else that came with it, which I am super pumped about. And they are on the mend and feeling like their normal selves again. And I really appreciate all of you that wished them well and were sad that they were sick too, because it was not fun for our house to have two littles just down at the same time. Although I guess misery loves company, right? And they were they were ill together, so they got through it, they powered through it, and we are good to go. All right, we did our giveaway right off the bat, so hopefully that wasn't all you were here for, but it is done. And let's talk about my new start. So I started Moth Waltz from Owl Forest Embroidery. I started it on March 12th. I started it on that day specifically because Sheldon and Stitches and Jason X Stitch were stitching for a March birthday SAL a Owl Forest that they were starting on the 12th for Jason's birthday. Now, I am not stitching the same Owl Forest chart as theirs, but they invited anybody else to start Owl Forest charts, and so that's what I did, and I just coincidentally had one that fit into my collector cell. So I started Moth Waltz. I started it on a 32 count Vintage Country Mocha. I finished, this is what Moth Waltz looks like. It's a pretty large project, as are most Owl Forests, although I feel like they are some of the most deceiving projects that exist in the cross stitch world, but it's pretty large, and this first moth was much larger than I felt like it was going to be. Finishing this first moth zeroed out a color for me, and it put me at 2,066 stitches out of 25,091 for 8.23% complete. And here is what I got with that. I absolutely love it. There is a tiny counting error in there, but it won't affect anything else, and it's done. This moth is done. It is so pretty. This is my first Owl Forest chart that I am stitching, and I am really, really enjoying it. I got it into Pattern Keeper without a problem. I just needed to assign some DMC threads to it so that it would show up, the colors would show up as I marked them off, and it would be a little bit easier for me. But the thing is, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about color converting. Owl Forest Embroidery offers beautiful flosses for their projects, especially these big ones. They offer kits, but it ends up a little bit on the pricier side to get them stitched here. They are based, I believe, in the Ukraine, and so for shipping for those flosses, it can be pretty pricey. The flosses are fairly reasonably priced, but it's the shipping, I think, that gets you. That being said, they also offer a secondary set of flosses that are dyed specifically for their patterns, and those are a little bit cheaper because I believe they ship from the US, but I have a decent amount of floss stash to choose from. I was a member of the Color and Cotton Floss of the Month when she first started it. I got the primitives, and then I moved on to the all colors, so I have a lot of the old, like, more square labels that I want to use them. They're beautiful flosses, and I just haven't really found the projects for them yet, so this was the perfect one to do that. I want to tell you a little bit about my conversion process and how I chose my flosses. I really wanted to film it, but with kids homesick, it was a get all the flosses out, make dinner, look at some of them, get the girls showered, look at more flosses, get them to bed, and start stitching. And I wanted to start this piece on the 12th, and pre-planning was not something that I did for this. So here's what I did. I pulled up the two pictures that Owl Forest offers for their flosses. So I'll put those up to show you here. Hold on. I will put those two pictures here so you can see what they had. Then what I started doing was I started pulling what they offered as DMC conversions for those flosses. So I had two different screen color options, and then I had like an in-person color option. And so I kind of took from the three of those, pulled out all of my fancy floss, and just kind of started picking what I thought would fit where the best. And so I came up with what I think turned out to be a pretty good color palette. Now, with moths, it wasn't like absolutely necessary that the colors exactly matched, which was something that I sort of had to come to grips with. I was like really trying to like exact match some of the colors. And like I said, just not necessary. As long as your colors go well together and you're gonna use the same color throughout the piece, it's gonna work. I don't think anything's gonna be really off. My variegated orange brown is sort of close to the solid orange that I chose, sort of close to the other variegated brown I chose. So some of the spots blend together, but it actually looks really nice. This color in the middle of like this orangey brown that variegates, that color I zeroed out on this piece. So that won't get used again. So it's there, it serves its purpose beautifully, and it very much corresponds with the more orangey piece and one of the browns that I chose, because like I said, they both, some of the sections of those flosses like match almost perfectly. And so I think it turned out really good. All right, so what I did was I took those 3 color choices that I have, I took all of my floss monsters of different stuff and put them all together. And so I'm gonna show you what my conversion looks like. I think there is one extra brown in this mix, and there is one extra orange that I ended up not using, but here we go. I'm gonna move that orange behind, and I'm going to get my board back. Okay, so here's where we're at, and this ended up being, I'm so happy with this. I'm so happy to stitch more and see how it turns out. And you know what? There's always room to change it. If I don't like how something's looking, I can pull it out and start again. I'm gonna tell you some of the colors that I'm using, just because some of these like color and cottons, I mean, this one doesn't even have a name, but these are like the old square tag guys. So this one doesn't have a name. The variegated orange and brown that I use is called Reindeer Treats. So I'm pretty sure that came from one of her Christmas boxes long ago. I'm using the Gentle Arts Sable, the Gentle Art Dark Chocolate, Crescent Colors, so this is Classic Colorworks before it changed its name, Brown Sugar, Gentle Arts Tarnished Gold, Gentle Arts Sarsaparilla. Those are 2 of the browns that I haven't picked which one I'm going to be using yet. I did use the Brown Sugar in that moth that already got stitched. Classic Colorworks Green Tea, Classic Colorworks Manor Red, Color and Cotton Special Edition Carving Pumpkin, Victoria Model Sampler Amber Waves of Grain, Color and Cotton Blizzard, Color and Cotton Green Tea, and Color and Cotton Lichen. And I think the lichen and the green tea they're 2 different greens that I picked that I'm not sure which one I'm going to use yet. But again, because I don't have multiples of some of those, there might be some spots where, because I used that DMC equivalent-ish and I kind of leaned towards that, if I run out of something, I can probably just throw that DMC equivalent in there, or even do like a double-stranded, like double strands, so like one strand of one DMC and one strand of another, to kind of get a more fancy floss look to it. To use a blended set is what I'm trying to get to. Whew, words, they're hard. Anyways, so there is Moth Waltz. My first moth is done for that project. All right, next I pulled out What Lies Beneath. I'm gonna pop up the artwork here. This is charted by Unconventional X Stitch. The artwork is by David Lozeau. If you like the look of this, but this one maybe is not totally your style, go check out Unconventional X Stitch. She has been featuring his artwork lately a lot on her Instagram. So his artwork is beautiful. So even if this is like kind of your thing, but not really, like you're not into the octopus, like there's other stuff, especially if you dig the anchor. He's got a lot of really cool anchors and kind of like almost like a Dia de los Muertos look on a lot of his stuff, that feel. Just really, really beautiful art that really, really catches a glimpse. But I pulled this out because last time I showed it to you, I realized I had stopped at like 9.94% complete. And I was like, I gotta get that milestone of the 10%. And I made the goal 2 weeks ago that I was going to stitch at least 1,000 stitches on a full coverage piece each week. I didn't want to just stitch the like 175 stitches. It wasn't even that much. It was like probably 60 stitches or something silly like that, that it was going to get me to that 10% mark. So I said, this is the one for the week. This is what we're doing again. So here's where it was last time you saw it, last week. And here it is 1,267 stitches later. So get that comparison up for you. So I stitched 1,267 stitches for a total of 13,129 stitches out of 119,400, and that put me at 11%. So I didn't just get to that 10% mark, I got another percentage. So here's where this is at. This is the full width of the piece. So I won't be moving it in the Q-snap until I fill in this area over here. But I got more defined point of this anchor here and brought up a lot of the 939 in here and filled in some of the 939 down there. Filled in another eye socket on that skull. So, I just love all these blues and teals, right up my alley. So after I finish kind of this part, it switches from 939 to like a more tealy color being prominent. So I'm excited for that. It's been, you know, there's this, especially over here, there's a lot of that 939. So it should go fairly quickly because one color, don't have to change, just have to pay attention to, you know, the little bits of lighter that are in there. But for the most part, this is an absolute pleasure to stitch on. It is being stitched 1/1 full cross on 27 count Linda. Linda is a even weave. It's like almost like a Lugana. I actually really enjoy the 27 count. I enjoy the texture of this fabric. I really enjoy the coverage of the DMC on it. Even with this, you know, really dark colors, very close up I see white, but not much at all. The coverage is great. I got this fabric from one of my friends from a little D-stash, but I know that you can find it on Fat Quarter Shop. I am not sure where else you can find it, but I think if you just search 27 count Linda, you should be able to find it. It's, for some reason, it's just not a popular fabric, but I think it's really fantastic for full coverage, especially if you don't need a grid to stitch with. If you need a grid, I don't know that it comes gridded, so not necessarily an option for that. All right, then I picked back up Twilight Nature Walk, which I will put a picture of here. This is by Sprouting Lupine. And I am stitching this on 32 count Haunted from Picture This Plus. I zeroed out 3 colors last night on this, and it is now at 67.05%. And what I stitched this week was just this flower and these 2 stems right here. So we are getting there. It is at 1,465 out of 2,185 stitches. And this will be a March finish for the collector SAL, which I'm really excited about. And there have been people finishing collector SAL pieces, which has been super awesome to see. I am so pumped. We're gonna go through all of the people that are doing collector SAL that have like tagged me and all that fun stuff in a little bit. But first I want to talk about a SAL and then 2 friends. Well, one of the friends is the Sal chatter, and then the other one, I got another little ask of you. So Jess at Sloan Stitches is doing a hashtag 40 tiny stitches party for her 40th birthday, and she's just asking that on her 40th birthday you pick up a tiny stitch. It can be a like small pattern, it can be tiny crosses, it can be what's tiny to you. So, but I'm gonna pick up a project on 40 count and get those 40 stitches in. I don't know what it's gonna be yet. I've got quite a few projects on 40 count, so shouldn't be too difficult for me to find one, but she's got an awesome little infographic post on Instagram and details in her last Flosstube video, which was just yesterday or the day before. So check that out and check her out. And then another friend, Erin, over at Fairy Tales and French Knots has a big birthday coming, another big birthday coming up. So she's turning 50. She told everybody that, so it's not a secret. And if you saw her, you would not believe it. She has set a goal for herself to get 500 subscribers by her 50th birthday. So if you have not checked out Erin over at Fairy Tales and French Knots, please go do so. She does like 25-minute to half an hour videos, perfect for your lunch break. She has a really cute little intro that she says every time about, you know, she talks long enough for her family to wonder what she's up to, and long enough for you to watch it on your lunch break and get the whole video in. So go check her out. She's doing that. Plans for me, and then we'll talk about my collector's SAL participants. But I want to talk a little bit about my plans for next week. So another moth start. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I have 2 waiting in my stash, and I keep just finding more and more and more that I want to stitch. So I don't know what will come up. I also have Snug as a Bug from Clouds Factory that needs some work on it as part of this SAL. So that may or may not come up, but I am going to do another new start. So if the Snug as a Bug comes up, it'll also be just like an additional piece. But I am going to veer from my SAL a little bit because this week is match week. I work in graduate medical education and I run a residency program, and match week is the week where on Monday we found out if we filled all of our positions that we interviewed for. And all of the med students that are hoping to move on to residency found out if they matched. Nobody knows yet who matched with who. So unless they only ranked like one school on their wish list and they matched, then they know where they're going. But most people do not do that. It is not advised to only rank one place, one school. So on Thursday, my program director and I get to find out who matched in our program, but nobody else gets to find out. And the med students don't get to find out on Thursday. Everybody finds out together on Friday. So it's a big deal and it's kind of chaotic. So this week, if people didn't match or programs didn't fill, which ours filled, our whole institution filled their programs, which was really exciting. They are currently interviewing and trying to find a spot where they would be comfortable and happy and where they will spend the next couple years of their education. For everybody else who did get that note, that magical message on Monday that said that you matched, they are now looking at their list thinking, okay, I ranked a school in Massachusetts, a school in Maine, a school or a hospital in Massachusetts, a hospital in Maine, a hospital in California, a hospital in Colorado, a hospital in Arizona. So they are waiting for Friday to tell them where they will be living for the next, in our program's case, 4 years of their life. Whether their partners will be moving with them, whether they will be close to family or totally away from family. It is a huge week for this part of life. So in the vein of that, I am going to be pulling out my office wall project. I would like this to hang on my office wall and I would like to get it done. So I'm going to be working on Medicine and Poison. I'm putting a picture in for you to see what it looks like when it's finished. The model is stitched on black. I am stitching it on Atomic Ranch Artemis, 32 count, 2/2. And it is currently, okay, so let's see if I can get the color of the fabric. If I only show a little bit. Okay, this is what color the fabric is. It's probably going to change when I pick it up and it's going to look different, but this is what color the fabric is. It is currently at 3,232 stitches out of 10,328 for 31.29%. And this is where it's at. Oh, it's holding its color. This is where it is. See, there goes the color. Now it looks really bright. It's very dark and deep, and I absolutely love this fabric. I love how this piece looks on it. I am really excited to get this going and then get it up on the wall in my office. So I am going to work on this week as well. I am going to put 1,000 stitches into one of my full coverage pieces. I don't know which full coverage piece that is going to be yet. I have not decided. I currently am not really leaning towards anything, so we will definitely see what comes with that. And then I want to talk about the collector SAL just a little bit more. All right, the collector SAL has been absolutely amazing. If you are here because you heard about the collector SAL, thank you so much. I do feel like that has contributed to my uptick in subscribers. I cannot fathom the fact that there are 2,000 people who are willing to listen to me chatter about cross stitch. If I was standing in a room full of 2,000 people, I don't even know if I could get up in front of them and speak. But here I am. I very much enjoy talking to you and connecting with you over YouTube and Instagram, and I try to be very active on both. I absolutely love your comments, your likes, your subscribes. They keep me going in the cross stitch realm, and I really appreciate every single gosh darn one of you. Sorry, I didn't mean to not look at you while I said that. I really do. I am pulling up all of the names of the people that have been participating. And I wanted to do one other thing because I said I got high numbers. When I filmed this the first time, I did like the brain math on what my total stitches were for this week. But now that I have my phone with me, let's just really make sure that I did math right. I feel like I did a pretty good job, but it's always possible that I did not. Last week, I stitched 4,798 stitches of cross stitch. Actually, I stitched more than that because I didn't even count how many I did in Twilight Nature Walk. I think that added another 200. So potentially, I stitched 5,000 stitches last week. That's crazy. That's so many stitches. I guess, you know, having sick kids has its benefits since we couldn't go out and do anything. I also, though, took Saturday completely off of stitching because we boiled sap that day and my children were sick and my husband hurt his back. And so he got it started in the morning, but then he was done. And so I went out there and did the rest of it. So I was out there from I think he got started at like 6:30. And then I fed them breakfast, fed them lunch, had like a few minutes to myself. And then I went out there and I was out there from 1 o'clock until it got dark, I think like 6. And then I finished off boiling in our kitchen. And I think I finally sat down again at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. So I didn't stitch that night. I took a shower and washed the campfire smell off of me and went to sleep. That was all I had in me. And I really wanted to film the process of that, but also I was so beat. I did film a little bit of our boil, so I can put that in here for you for your viewing pleasure. We boil over open fire because we only tap one tree, and an evaporator would be a little excessive for us to have since it's not needed for that small amount. But it ends up being very much a labor of love to get all of that boiled. Let's see here. Okay. I've got quite a few new people that I hadn't mentioned before, so I'm going to start from the bottom of my list this time and go back up so we can really highlight those people that have joined. Abby Bella Stitch, she has a YouTube. She does not post regularly on there, but she does post regularly on her Instagram. She is stitching tombstones, and she has actually been like working on her tombstone wall, like putting ones that she has done like up and getting it done. Also will say there are some people that I haven't shared on my Instagram, and that's because they have settings on their Instagrams that make their posts unshareable as far as stories go. So that's especially why I like to go through this list here, because if you haven't seen it yet and you are interested in them and what they're stitching, you can definitely go find them and check them out. All right, the Stitching Owl is going to be stitching birds. Erin at Fairy Tales and French Knots, who I mentioned before, is working on a Tolkien wall. So is Stick Strings and Other Things. Stitch with Leslie is working on bees. Crafting Without Kids is working on her murder wall. Crafty Foxes, Amy Graham, mermaids. Stitching is Elementary is working on Black Quakers. Danielle B is working on her The Beaches in My Heart wall. Counting My Stitches is working on Beneath the Waves, and those patterns are now in people's hands, so we're going to start to get to see some of those. Clover Hop Stitching is working on patterns that she got in an estate sale. Cross Stitch the Globe's got a Celestial wall going. Linguistic Stitches is working on bugs. Paper Girl Ink, Peaches. Nisi Stitches is working on Jet Stitch patterns. Nisi Stitches is part of the duo on Flosstube of Because We Stitch. They're cousins who filmed together, which is why the because. KBH Stitches is stitching veggies, and she finished Mind Your P's and Cukes, which, Karen, I love it. That like felt so special that you stitched a pattern for the SAL that I'm hosting that I designed, and that you finished it on top of that. It is so awesome. So go check her out. Uplift Stitches is stitching birds. Just Keep Stitching. Pam is working on game boards, though I don't think she's exclusively working on that. I think she just threw the SAL into her wheel of SALs that she has. Sloan Stitches is working on black cats, and she is starting a new one this week. I think she just has so many black cats that it doesn't even have to be a part of this, like she doesn't even have to focus on the SAL. She just has black cats everywhere in her in her collection. Bright and Dusty is stitching 5x7 kits. The Steadfast Stitcher is stitching like a literary wall, library, books, that kind of stuff. Main Moose Mom Stitcher is stitching moose, and Mama Bear Stitchery is stitching black cats. If I did not mention you, please comment below so I can give you a shout, and thank you so much. I could not have dreamed for the amount of people that are participating in and enjoying this SAL with me. It absolutely means the world to me, and I am so glad that you are all digging into your stashes and getting some of those stitches that you've been collecting over time stitched up and ready to get on your wall and make a beautiful little part of your home that makes you so, so happy. All right, I will be back next week. Hopefully we are celebrating me still being at 2,000 subscribers and this isn't a fluke. And I will talk to you then. Happy stitching. Bye.